Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal Studios, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, as well as 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location. With that being said, here Gary Stokan is here with me on the broadcast, and president of Peach Bowl Inc., president CEO of Peach Bowl Inc., and we have spent many years talking with one another about the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, as well as all of the great things that happen in Atlanta, Georgia, in the community, all the money raised, and all of the things that have been truly beyond the world of sports. And so with that being said, I'm always happy to have my friend Gary back on the show. Mr. Stokan, how you doing?
Dan, great to be with you again. It's that time of the year.
It is that amazing time of the year, amazing opportunity for us to talk about the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Now, you being in rotation of the college football playoff this year are in the semifinal round. Just what you can say about what you've taken away from this college football playoff current model of the four teams and in the two games and then the national championship. Just what it's been like to be in rotation with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and how it's gone over the years.
Well, the great thing, we've hosted the semifinals. This will be our third time in 16, 19, and now 22. We've had number one each year of the semifinals, and this year with Georgia and number 4 Ohio State. Again, it's a great opportunity to show Atlanta as the capital of college football, ending the season with number 1 Georgia, who started the season in Atlanta against number 12 Oregon, and then Clemson, who was number 6, now number 7 at the end of the year, hosting them against Georgia Tech. So 2 great Chick-fil-A kickoff games, now a semifinal with 1 versus 4, and just a great way to end the season for us in Atlanta. And then as we move forward with the new playoff in 24, we will host Georgia, Clemson to open the season, and then a quarterfinal game at the end of the year with number 1, 2, 3, or 4 against an opponent. And then we'll host the national championship in January. And then at the start of the next season, we'll host Syracuse and Tennessee and Virginia Tech, South Carolina in our Chick-fil-A kickoff games, and then end the existing CFP contract, 12-year contract, with the national semifinal in December of 2025.
Yeah, it's really incredible, and I thank you for breaking that down, all the great things that are to come here, because this moment for you in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, with the expansion to the college football playoff in and of itself years ago to 4 teams and now expanding to 12, you were a part of that, right? The Peach Bowl was considered important and a key part of college football to be included in the college football playoff. To be picked again, right? They say to be picked once is great, but to be picked again by the same person, the same entity, is a beautiful thing. And it's a testament. We talk about partnerships all the time. You start a partnership with someone, they pick you, right? And then they pick you 2 years down the road, 10 years down the road. That says so much about the partnership working and them seeing value in it. So just what that means to you to have been picked once in the college football playoff, to be a part of the rotation. And now as they expand, for them to look to the Peach Bowl and say, we will be more than happy to pick you once again.
Well, it's certainly a great testament to all the support in Atlanta, not only from our infrastructure of the most busiest and effective and efficient airport in the world, but the 3 interstates that intersect in the middle of downtown, 13,000 hotel rooms downtown, in walking distance to the first-class Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and then all the corporate support that we get from Atlanta CEOs, and then the great fans and volunteers who do such a great job in hosting these type of events. We really enjoy Southern hospitality and hosting people in our town. So, Atlanta is the 4th largest convention town in the United States, behind Orlando and Chicago and Las Vegas, not necessarily in that order, but is the 4th largest. 4 of the top 6 conventions on an annual basis are our 2 Chick-fil-A kickoff games, the SEC Championship, and our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So that just goes to show how important college football is to Atlanta
Yeah.
when you're the fourth largest town, and over $100 million from our three events this year will be created in economic impact, which is really important to our tourism and our hospitality industry coming out of COVID.
Yeah, and seeing these last couple of years, and I've had the opportunity to obviously be connected with the Chick-fil-A kickoff game and the Peach Bowl, and through COVID, be connected as well. So I've seen you all navigate this, making it look like, outside of virtual interviews and whatnot, I have to commend you and Matt Garvey and the entire team that you've made these look very seamless. And at a time, and I was thinking back on it, I was like, at a time where really nothing was open and you were able to do the Peach Bowl and I was able to be down there for it. It was my first trip that I had taken in a year. So, just what you can say in that respect of not only having these events and having these games at the beginning and the end of the season, but that during these last couple of years, you have been able to, with the beautiful work by people that don't get thanked enough in Atlanta, Georgia, to have these games and to be able to make life look somewhat normal. And I know that I said that the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl to me was my first sign of normalcy in a long time when I had the opportunity to go.
Well, thank you. And you're exactly right. The more we get back together and socialize, that's important. And college football is a great way to do it. We've seen it, with our kickoff games coming back online and now the bowl game. So, we'll probably have a record crowd. I know this is going to be our toughest ticket ever with Ohio State versus Georgia. So we're excited about the opportunity and look forward to hosting everybody down there in Atlanta on New Year's Eve.
Gary Stokan here with me of Peach Bowl Inc., overseeing the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which is a part of our semifinals here in the college football playoff for the 2022-23 season. Knowing that you have number 1 Georgia and number 4 Ohio State, the pedigree of these teams. Now, you've had Georgia come through the building a bunch of times at the beginning of the season and the end of the season, as you've spoken on. And when they were in the building recently, were in the Peach Bowl going up against Cincinnati in a game where it took everything they had to beat a Cincinnati team that the following season would end up in the college football playoff. What are your thoughts on having Georgia and Ohio State and just what it means? I know you alluded to it a little bit there, but fan base wise, talent wise, and Georgia, as much as they have been tested this season, they have maybe bent. I don't even know if they've bent, but they've definitely haven't broken this year.
Well, yeah, the number 2 scoring defense in Georgia against the number 2 scoring offense in Ohio State. So that lends itself to a great matchup, number one. Number two, to have it leading to an opportunity to play for a national championship is awfully meaningful. And then, when you look at the opportunity to play on the type of stage that this will bring, game day will be here. It'll be sold out, could be a record crowd in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And we've hosted Super Bowls and, a lot of big events in there. So, it's a wonderful opportunity to showcase Atlanta, but to be a part, from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, from going to what the Atlanta Journal-Constitution called our game in 1998, my first year when we selected Georgia against Virginia, a third-tier bowl game, to now being at the pinnacle of college football, hosting number 1 against number 4, the best bowl game of the season, and having a huge impact on college football is a wonderful place to be.
And you look back 1998 to now, and you and I talk about a lot of the things that go deeper than sports and beyond sports. Here with Gary Stokan, the president and CEO of Peach Bowl Inc., overseeing the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl game that is part of the semifinals, and in the future of college football playoff will be in the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Being a third-tier bowl game to where you are now, that in just a couple of years you'll be hosting the national championship, and you are in this rotation for the semifinal and will be with the quarterfinals and semifinals and the expansion of the playoff. That chip on your shoulder, I feel like every truly successful person who does things the right way has a story of not getting picked, not being chosen, being totally disrespected or pushed to the side. How sweet is that for you to know, walking in 1998, how the Peach Bowl was viewed, and then all of the work that you and your team have done to not only rise up and beyond what people's expectations were, but to be the place that hosts the national championship game after being called a third tier bowl.
Well, it's really fun to see some of the volunteers who have been around since 1968, believe it or not, when we first started, that are still volunteering and still involved in the game. To see them take this ride is awfully fun for me to be able to watch. And then secondarily, to be able to use the opportunity of football to give back. We've given $60 million back in donations and charities since 2002. We have 34 universities with endowed scholarships in the John Lewis Legacy of Courage Scholarship Program, where kids, Title I schools, which are schools that the kids aren't financially able to pay for college, can apply to universities that have played in either our kickoff game, our bowl game, or our golf tournament. And if they apply, they get the money. And a lot of these kids, it's the first kid in their generations of family to be able to attend college. So that's really cool to see the $20 million that we donated to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta to find some cures to eradicate childhood cancer, where we now have 7 trials with 12 little kids in them, hoping to find some cure from neuroblastoma to leukemia here, hopefully in the next couple of years. Those are things that really drive us, and to do it in being able to host people in our town is, I can't think of a better opportunity to give back.
Gary, every time I ask you to talk about the successes of what you and your team have done, you go away from the game, the teams in the games, the notoriety of those teams, the game itself, and you always go back to fundraising. You always go back to the community. You always go back to Atlanta, to Georgia, to helping the country and the world as a whole, and speaking on finding cures and whatnot. I know that you're a humble person, and I know you may not give me a long answer to this, but you are so kind to everybody else, and you don't hide your faith, your belief in God, and in prayer. And I commend you for everything that you've done, because so many people want to talk to you about Georgia, Ohio State, and all the successes of the games, and you always bring it back to the community.
Well, I've been blessed with great parents, and I was always taught that, and my personal belief is God's gift to you is life. Your present back to him is how you take those talents that he's provided to you and maximize those to be able to give back and honor him. And so we do it humbly, but we do it, meaningful and with intention to give back, so that other people who may not have been as fortunate have an opportunity. And that's why we're the most charitable bowl organization in the country. It's in our mission. And, we have a lot of great partners that help us hit that goal and meet that mission.
And for you, Gary, what do you want to say to the world? It's been a couple of years. We've been going through all of this craziness together. We're wearing masks. We're not. We're inside. We're outside. A lot of lives being lost. Families can't see each other. Holidays didn't feel the same. People were making phone calls and FaceTiming because they couldn't be physically in front of somebody. Out of everything that's happened over the last couple of years, we finally feel in the sports world, I think, back to normal for the most part. What are your words to people out there that are struggling, that maybe turn to sports as the one avenue to shut their brain off for a minute or not feel the pain? Because what I know about sports in 19 plus years of broadcasting is a lot of people come here so that they can live in a happy place, even if something bad is going on. But what can you say about sports' role in being the happy place, and maybe some words of encouragement to people out there, because it's been a tough time for a lot of people.
Well, I think sports is a microcosm of the macrocosm of life, and team and togetherness are crucial to be successful in sports. And I think it's the same in life. And so anytime you can socialize, anytime you can join with other people, sports is when you look at a kid from LA, a black kid from Compton, and a white kid from the hills of North Carolina, and a Jew and a Christian and a Catholic and a Muslim all being in the huddle together and in that locker room together, bleeding and fighting and scratching and clawing to try and work together to meet a common goal. That's what life's all about. And so I would ask people to take a look at the togetherness aspect and the team aspect of sport, and just use that in their family, in their workplace, and hopefully that's a good teacher. There's some other things with sports that may not be as positive, but I think that's the one thing that binds everybody together is teamwork, togetherness, and if we can take that from sport, then along with the entertainment, obviously it is entertaining, then I think we'll all be better off in fighting through this interesting times that we're in.
Absolutely. And Gary, to bring it back to the game, one final note here. It's not going to take much to sell a Georgia-Ohio State ticket. And with all the tickets that you sell and the records you've already set, how strange, as a football fan, though, how strange has it been for you that so many teams had good teams this season, had 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 losses, some 4 losses. LSU had a shot at one point, Alabama, Clemson, Tennessee. There are all these teams at USC in the scuffle for it. And here we are with the teams that we have. Just what it's been like to watch this as a fan in a year where there wasn't a clear cut 3 or 4 teams that were undefeated.
Well, you're right, Dan, and you do a great job analyzing sports over the years, and that's why I admire you. But I 2-3 weeks ago, I guess it was, I reported that I think this is going to be the toughest decision the CFP selection committee has had to make in 9 years. And haven't had the opportunity to go to Gaylord, Texas, and sit in that room and go through a mock selection. It's a great process that they have and they go through. But it's interesting how things worked out to where, 1, 2, and 3 were pretty much baked in, even if they lost. And I was out in Las Vegas for the USC game to see if they could win that game. And if they won, they'd probably be the 4th team. And if Georgia won, they'd be playing Georgia USC in our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl game. So, it's been an interesting year. It went fast. It went awfully fast, it seems to me. But we've got the 4 best teams and, 2 great matchups and some great stories where, Georgia losing 15 kids to the NFL, Kirby Smart being able to rally that team together. You got a kid in Stetson Bennett that gets no credit whatsoever. After 2 years, could be the greatest quarterback in Georgia history, could lead them back-to-back championships, which there's only been 4 quarterbacks do that. You got Ohio State, who is going to get healthy. Their wide receivers and their running backs will get healthy. They want an opportunity to not only to beat Georgia to move ahead, but to also face Michigan and get a little revenge in a potential national championship if Michigan were to beat TCU. So there's a lot of stories built into these TCU, their story, which is a wonderful story. Sonny Dykes in his first year doing what he's done, and Max Duggan, who came out of nowhere to lead the team. College football is alive and well. We're the second most favored sport in this country, only behind the NFL. And I think with this 12-team playoff, it is only going to grow the amount of exposure we're going to get, because there will be probably some other networks brought into the fold, along with ESPN, who does a great job with college football. I think the opportunity to have teams north, south, east, and west, with the Pac-12 teams coming on like USC and Oregon and UCLA now, and Utah, Washington. College football is better when we have teams spread across the country that are good. So everything's bright for the future of college football, and we look forward to being a part of it moving forward.
It's Gary Stokan, President and CEO of Peach Bowl, Inc., overseeing the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which will be one of our semifinal games coming up on the last day of the year, my father's birthday, December 31st. And my dad's got plans, and hopefully I do too. So looking forward to what's coming up here, Georgia and Ohio State. As always, Gary, I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dan. Always enjoyed being with you.
Take care.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.